Good morning. My name is Rachel Peterson, and I am a member of the Climate Action Ministry team here, and I also organize the young adult group. One thing I love about this congregation is that we don't shy away from thinking about and working on difficult things, but that we do so whenever possible with hope and with optimism. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. I want to take a moment to extend a very warm welcome to everyone who's visiting us for the first time. If you're joining us online, fill out a visitor form in the link in the description. We'd love to connect with you. Part of our mission is to connect bravely, and we're glad that you're sharing part of your Sunday here all together. Many of us were once too seeking for something larger than ourselves to which we could belong. A sense of rootedness to hold us as we create meaning together. We do that well here, though not perfectly. In this congregation, we strive not for perfection, but for authenticity and connection. Whether it's your first time in worship with us or your 100th time, we hope that you'll find here questions that stretch you, people to befriend you, and liberal religious values that challenge you to join us in loving boldly, living justly, and welcoming radically. Yesterday, folks gathered here at the church for an afternoon of connection and conversation as a part of our Climate Justice Revival Weekend. Lots of planning and volunteering went into that event, so I wanted to start this morning by expressing gratitude for all who helped to make that happen. Also, next Sunday morning at 10 a.m., right before this service, is our first board roundtable of the year. Board members will be there to share about their work this fall and to answer any questions you might have.
Hi, we are a promise-making, a promise-breaking, and a promise-remaking people. We are called not to be perfect, but to be faithful. In that spirit, each week, we speak our covenant aloud, all together. It is a reminder of the promises we make in this gathered community. In person and online, will you please join us as one and say our covenant? We gather in fellowship to speak truth to each other, to reach out to touch one another, to care with each other, and to seek the truth divine. So be it. The chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. It is a cup of life, sustenance to quench our spirit's thirst, a cup of celebration and resolve, a flame of hope, a light to warm our souls and guide us home. I'd like to invite Jim Dimick to light this morning's chalice.
Hi. I'm Jim Dimick. I've been concerned about climate change for a long time. This is a story of how my climate change journey led me to join UUCB. When I retired from 42 years of telecom engineering in 2009, I did the obvious thing in starting my retirement. I spent the next 3 years at CU on campus as a senior auditor, taking every course I could on climate change and energy policy. But then what to do with all that knowledge? I went to a lecture at Chautauqua about climate change, and on the way out, there were a couple of people who I would learn later were UUCB members, and they were handing out leaflets about Citizens Climate Lobby, an organization that effectively lobbies Congress on bills about climate change. They have hundreds of chapters across this country and in other nations, actually. I joined the Boulder chapter of Citizen Climate Lobby which we abbreviate as CCL, and became friends with many of the CCL members, including Susan Secord, Susan Reederer, Ginny Black, and Tim Bailey. And with CCL, I've been able to do climate lobbying with Representative Joe Neguse, Jared Polis, when he was our representative, and other congressional representatives. Since the Boulder chapter of CCL is sponsored by the UUCB Climate Action Ministry, CCL actually meets right here in the Sky Room. At those meetings, I wandered into the hallway and read some of the UUCB brochures. My wife, Patricia, and I were looking for a new spiritual home, and we started to attend UUCB early in 2016. And by November 2016, we joined UUCB. And then I was able to join our Climate Action Ministry and help with their many activities. For example, showing climate-related movies, touring Olin Farms, having the EV fair, and helping with the veggie lunch after the Earth Day service. Why do I care so much about climate change? Today, October 20th, is my 80th birthday. So climate change is not going to get that much worse during my lifetime. But obviously, it's not all about me. It's about the impact of increasing climate change on future generations. I have 6 grandchildren. The youngest are 6 months and 2 years. They will likely be alive in 2100. What kind of climate will we be giving to them? But what can we actually do to slow down and eventually stop climate change? Well, we started by trying to make some good personal choices. I now rarely eat red meat. We only use recycled paper products. When my 21-year-old car died, I bought a plug-in hybrid at a reasonable price. This spring, we plan to replace our 30-year-old air conditioner system with a heat pump for both cooling and heating. Beyond personal choices, there's something even more powerful we can do: the power of community, being part of a team. It's the teamwork of CCL across the country that makes it effective. It's the teamwork of the Climate Action Ministry that led to the Green Sanctuary certification of UUCB in 2016. And it was the Climate Action Ministry sponsorship of CCL in 2013 that led me into UUCB. And that Climate Action Ministry teamwork will continue as we begin working on the Green Sanctuary 2030 certification. So when you think about climate change and the impact on our future generations, please do something. I light this chalice in gratitude for this spiritual community.
Welcome to a climate justice revival. We are joining congregations all over the country for a time of renewal and recommitment at the intersection of the climate crisis and the deep justice commitments of this community. This morning, we're doing things a little differently. The order of service is a little different. Even the pulpit is slightly off center. But the point is the same as it is every week. We gather for revival and renewal for the work of living lives of integrity, service, and joy right here in this world. We gather to remember that our work is to put love at the center of our living. It's a simple and demanding and fulfilling and unending call. We gather because in a world that makes catastrophe seem inevitable, we are a people of hope. We can imagine collapse, but can we imagine renewal? For a long time in this country, so many of us could not imagine collapse. I think human brains are not good at facing incremental problems. In any given year, the winter got a little drier, the summer got a little hotter, the fire season was just a little longer, hurricane season a little more intense, until at last decades passed. And now it seems to be happening all at once, and we can finally imagine collapse clearly after so many years of avoidance. That terrifying possibility starts from the right impulse, a recognition that something has in fact gone terribly wrong. That's real. We'll tell the truth about that reality without avoiding it or minimizing or denying it. We can imagine collapse, but can we imagine renewal? That was the question that opened the Climate Justice Workshop yesterday, where 24 folks gathered to talk and listen deeply and draw and brainstorm and eat and wonder, all in the service of imagining renewal. They faced challenging realities and named them and mapped them, and then began to imagine visions of future possibilities, futures worth falling in love with and working for and fighting for. Together we can move past systems and cultures of extraction to usher in a different kind of living. And that's not just thin optimism or a political strategy. This is deep in our theological inheritance, to move from a place of love instead of fear. 200 years ago, our Universalist ancestors preached that fear of hell, of future punishment, of coming catastrophe, that's not what makes people just. They said, we shouldn't work to make the world better because we have terrorized ourselves into it. They said the motivation to make the world better is to live in a world made better. And the only source strong enough to hold the whole of your life and carry you through that work, the only source strong enough for that is not fear, but love. Our faith calls us to make change, not because of the fear of climate catastrophe, but because of the possibility of a world renewed. So we face these realities, and they don't have the final word. Only a profound falling in love with the world we dream of, for ourselves, for grandchildren, and beyond. Only that will give the energy and the power, the resilience, the joy that we need to make the work of building the future into the work of our lives. That's the commitment that we make. We rise in body or in spirit and sing that out.
When I did that, I thought, I'm going to run into that, aren't I?
Fear stifles imagination and limits our capacity for relationships that embrace our beautiful and abundant humanity. Fear creates cynical cycles of supremacy and extractive relationships with each other and with our planet. Reimagining together is how we overcome fear. Reimagining together is how we build new relationships and a new era, putting love at the center. Today, especially, we put love at the center of our work for climate justice. Will you join us in prayers of the people and planet? Our congregational response will be, let us reimagine a new era together.
Beginning right here in our congregation, we pray for ourselves that we open our hearts to be companions, caring for a hurting world, and committing to create a world of flourishing. Let us reimagine a new era together. With reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. We commit to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. So we pray for land, ecosystems, all species, the entire natural world. Let us reimagine a new era together. We pray for justice for local frontline communities who are impacted first, worst, and longest by climate change and who face systemic oppression. Let us reimagine a new era together.
In our reimagining, we gain the capacity to recommit to communities of mutual support, which are the building blocks of an ecosystem of mutual survival. Let us reimagine a new era together. We look toward each other, people of faith, good conscience, and spirit, leaning on one another and trusting in the hope that we can create together. Let us reimagine a new era together. We make right the wrongs of the past, not by ignoring them, but by doing the difficult work of dismantling the oppressive systems and behaviors that feed our illusion of separation. May we live in a way that honors our interdependence and acts in accordance with our interconnection with all people and with the planet. Let us reimagine a new era together.
As we begin in local, committed communities of support, we find the strength and courage to widen our circles of concern, resisting hierarchies of value and ideologies of scarcity. Let us reimagine a new era together. In our widening and deepening connections, we discover relations in the salt-kissed islands of Kiribati, the solid and frozen ground of Newtok, Alaska, and the life-giving valley of Rio Guapanal. Let us reimagine a new era together. With humility and commitment, we acknowledge our own part in so much harm to our relations: saltwater encroachment, dying permafrost, and poison refuse of illegal mining. Let us reimagine a new era together.
May we set down fear. May our courage to face the intersecting systems of harm lead to the strength to create intersecting practices of love and healing so that all may flourish. Let us reimagine a new era together. Reimagining together, we build new relationships. We put love at the center of climate justice work, and we commit. Amen. The scale of climate justice work is almost unimaginably large, but our work is to start where we are, use what we have, and do what we can. Our task is to make a world where everyone counts and everyone matters and everyone can flourish sustainably. That's also the mission of the group we share our plate with this month, Boulder Food Rescue, which works to create a more just and less wasteful food system in Boulder County. We'll hear about what that work looks like for them.
Hi everyone, Sean here again with Boulder Food Rescue. I just want to take a quick moment to talk with you all today about an aspect of Boulder Food Rescue and the work that we do, and that is our impact on the environment. Although Boulder Food Rescue's primary focus as an organization is increasing food access, the way in which we do this by reducing food waste has a pretty profound impact on the environment. Now, our agricultural system is one of the largest contributors that we have to global climate change. I've seen figures ranging anywhere from 18 to 20%, stretching all the way up to 50%. And this depends on what all you bring into this equation, because agriculture has a gigantic impact on our water use, our land use. There's giant impacts on energy use from tilling fields, planting, producing fertilizers, producing pesticides, applying those, processing food, shipping food all throughout the nation, preparing food, as well as disposing of food. Like, our agricultural system has a massive impact on our environment, and the fact that 40% of all of the food that we grow is wasted means that 40% of all of the energy and resources put into food is also wasted. And there's one aspect of this in particular that I want to talk about, and this is where Boulder Food Rescue really comes in, and that is what happens to food once it's thrown away or disposed of and how it breaks down. So there's two different ways that organic matter can break down. One of those is anaerobically, and the other one is aerobically. Anaerobic process of breaking down means that there's no oxygen present. This is what happens in like landfills and places where oxygen cannot get to this decomposing process. And what happens is the microbes that break down the food when there is not oxygen present do it in such a way that produces methane as a byproduct. Now, methane is a greenhouse gas that's more or less 70 times more powerful than carbon. And it lasts in our atmosphere for about 100 years, and so short term it has a massive impact on our environment. And when Boulder Food Rescue limits food from going to the landfill, we limit this methane production. And over the course of a year, by rescuing about 500,000 pounds of food, Boulder Food Rescue is able to keep close to 2,000 metric tons of methane out of the atmosphere. And we're also able to keep over 2,000 tons of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere as well. So by reducing food waste and increasing food access, we're also able to have a massively positive impact on the environment.
We invite you to give as generously as you are able. For those online, you can use the QR code or find a link in the video description. For those gathered in person, you can scan the QR code or make a donation as the ushers now pass the baskets. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing We Will Rise Together.
The activist Rachel Taylor writes this. She says, the real secret of the apocalypse is not that it comes with a bang or a whimper, but that it comes when you're doing other things. You're taking the kids to school, paying the bills, going to see your friends play. All the stuff of normal life happens until it doesn't. For you. But your neighbor still has to do the laundry and schlep his mom to the grocery store. So you try to keep going and take care of things that are still working, while also trying to fight injustice and stop genocide. You do what you can. Some days it's just surviving. Other days you can put your body between the machine and those more vulnerable than you are. But you can't do that every day until you have to. The secret is that you don't get a break to build a better world. You have to do it while still surviving this one. You have to do it like a secret obsession, like a shameful hobby. You have to do it because it is exciting and dangerous and subversive and necessary. You have to share it with other kinksters like yourself because you're not alone in that wanting. and you still have to do the dishes. There's a way to live in this world holding reality and grief and hope all together exactly at the same time. There's a way to live toward a hopeful future, not just running from a fearful apocalypse. And our work in that world, in this world, is to be spiritually and emotionally grounded enough to live into the fact that death and rebirth are both happening at once. In this moment, in this place, in our own ordinary lives while we do the dishes. Often, we look at a problem like climate change and consider what's wrong, what's broken. We start with what we don't like about the situation, the scale and scope and terror of climate catastrophe. And that can be true without always being useful, exactly. Feeling overwhelmed, I don't know if this is true for you. When I am overwhelmed, I shut down. Overwhelmed does not motivate me to action. But there is another way. There is a way to do this work centered in love. Thinking about what we love and how we might grow or preserve or help the things that we love thrive. I invite you into that, to close your eyes just for a moment and think of what is it in this world, what is something that you love, a place maybe, a meadow, a stream, what is a moment? Sunset over the mountains, what is a feeling? Hearing the sound of waves on the shore. What is it that you love about this world and want to pass forward? Will you tell me, raise a hand, share one. Who can share one? Yeah.
Fresh air.
Fresh air. Fresh air. What else? What is it that you love about this place?
Fall colors.
Say again?
Fall colors.
Fall colors. Yes, this explosion of color. What else?
Dramatic rock.
Dramatic rock. We don't have boring rock around here. We have dramatic rock. Yes. Yes. What else? What else? Glaciers. Yeah.
Animals in the mountain.
Animals in the mountain. The elk and their weird sounds. Yes. What else? Yeah, Rebecca.
Clean water.
Clean water. Yeah. Clean water. What else? Wildflowers. Wildflowers.
Birds. Healthy grandchildren.
Healthy grandchildren, absolutely. Health, food to nourish us. Bird song. Bird song. These are the things. No more plastic. These are the things to hold and carry with you and remember. These are the things not to answer, but to hold alongside all the anxieties and the fears, is to remember, what is it that you love? What are you working for? Not just running from. This is a demanding thing that I'm inviting you to practice. And it feels, for me, it feels especially hard in these final weeks before the presidential election. Because I find myself living with an unseen, hovering anxiety that just comes with me all the time, like there's a balloon trailing behind me. It isn't like this for you right now, yeah. There's a sense of precariousness, not just that I don't know what's going to happen in 2 weeks, but I don't know what is happening in this country. Bitter and brutal, divided, ignorant, angry. To be spiritually and emotionally grounded means feeling those feelings. And in the weeks to come, whether it's election or climate, that anxiety shows up in your life in all sorts of different ways. Maybe it is low energy, no matter how much you sleep, not being able to concentrate. Maybe you need comfort and reassurance in a way that you don't usually. My carbohydrate intake, right? Maybe you overeat or undereat. Maybe this feels in your body like an anxious nervousness and irritability. Maybe it actually feels not like irritability, but everybody else has a problem. That's irritability. And nothing's quite right, and you put on your favorite socks and they're scratchy. When did they become scratchy? I wrote this a few days ago, and this literally happened to me this morning. Maybe you feel this in your body. You're extra cold or extra hot, or your fingertips tingle, or your muscles twitch at random. Rachel reminded me this week that if you grew up or if you moved through life in a place where anxiety wasn't acknowledged, where no one ever said or named it, you may not know that all that jumble of things you're feeling, that is what anxiety is. So there it is. True without being useful exactly. But our work is to not deny it or ignore it, not to pretend that it isn't happening. Our work is to return to a sense of spiritual and emotional grounding right at the same time. It's to face the fact that we're feeling this thing so we aren't ruled by it. This is the place in traditional Christian language for a blessing. The poet and pastor Jan Richardson explains blessing this way. She says, this is an ancient literary form. It is a distinctive constellation of words designed to call upon and convey God's desire, the desire of the holy for our wholeness and well-being, individually and in community. She says, for all the poetry and power, there's nothing magical about a blessing. A blessing will not fix us. It won't resolve the difficulty we're in or undo the harm we've caused or received. Instead, a blessing is a channel for love, a means of grace to open our eyes to recognize and receive love's help. And rather than being an indicator or a measure of God's favor, a true blessing meets us in a place of our greatest need, desperation, pain, lack. And it's meant to meet us there and provoke us, to incite us to a response. The best blessing awakens our imagination. In places of difficulty or struggle or pain, it beckons us to look closer rather than to turn away. And in such moments, a blessing challenges us not to accept how things are, but to dream of how they could be transformed. This is a moment for a blessing. And I invite you, if you'd like a blessing this morning, if you want to try this, if you're ready to bless your hands for action, to do climate justice in the world, as the music begins in just a moment, to come forward to the table in the back half of the room or down here at the front, and we'll pour a little water over your hands, and we'll bless you with these words. Friend, you are commissioned to act for climate justice. I bless your hands with water. May they do the work that must be done. Please come forward as you feel moved. The Reverend Molly Hausch Gordon writes this, which she calls a not at all joking, and in fact totally serious list of how to survive the end of the world. The world is ending all around us and a new one being born all around us. And this is how to survive it. Get to know your neighbors. Feed them. Let them feed you. Watch each other's kids, grandkids, pets. Develop the muscle of generosity like you are training for an ultramarathon. Share everything you can with anyone who asks, and ask for what you need. Get in touch with your body. You need it, and it knows things. Pay attention to what is happening below your neck. Tell the truth. Tell it to yourself first. Sit at the feet of your most vulnerable neighbors and your own most vulnerable places. They have the most to teach you about survival. Listen. Remember your ancestors and the things they survived. Find the resilience that's your birthright and the courage that made a way for your life. Practice taking risks. Show up in every struggle where someone is fighting for their dignity, because that's how we all survive. Learn about reparations, about native sovereignty. Double down on exercising supremacy systems from your soul. Learn to be tender. Refuse to be hardened. Let your heart be moved every damn time. Root in the place you are. Learn its history. Learn its geography. Learn its seasons. Sing a lot and dance. Make art. Make love. Rest luxuriously. Eat. The world is ending and beginning now. We are surviving now. Let us love, let us connect, let us fight like hell for the dignity of each and all. Amen. We rise in body or spirit. We'll close in song and then continue after in the Sky Room for an advocacy hour for climate justice.